this video, I will teach you how to introduce yourself in a residency interview. I will start with things that you should include in your answer. We'll go over general tips to leave an amazing first impression, and we will end with a sample answer that helps you introduce yourself. Make sure to stick until the end of this video because I will be sharing with you a free guide of common residency interview questions and sample answers to them. And now, let's get started. So what points should you include when introducing yourself or answering the question, tell me about yourself? First, your background. You can give a small background about where you grew up, the city that you're from, give a fun fact about that, and your journey to medical school. The second part that you should definitely include every time you answer the tell me about yourself question is why should the program choose you? And here you're gonna talk about your qualities, your skills, your achievements. For example, if you won an award during medical school, if you've done some research, if you've done residency in your country, if you have won a medal for some reason, if you've done rotations in the US, publications, presentations, this is the time to tell program directors about you. One common mistake I see applicants make when answering the question, tell me about yourself, or when they introduce themselves, is that they shy themselves from talking about their accomplishments and what got them here, and they talk mainly about their personality and their life outside medicine. And the reason why I find this as a mistake, because sometimes people interviewing you might not have the time to read your CV, or they might have missed so many things that are extremely important to you and make you stand out from other applicants. And you might not have the opportunity to be asked about that during your residency interview. So this is the time that you can talk about all these things and set the tone for the whole interview. So if you talk about your research, your accomplishment, achievements, characteristics, this could be the next question the interviewer might ask you. And this could be your opportunity to drive the conversation and take the interviewer to things you would like to talk about. Don't assume that every interviewer has read your CV from A to Z. But another mistake is to recite your CV. This is not the place to tell them, I have 1 publication, 1 citation, 3 presentations, I went to this conference, I did this research. No, that's not the way to tell your accomplishments. You have to blend that in the whole story. And I'll show you an example at the end of how you can do that. Mention your characteristics and your achievements throughout your journey to where you are now. The third part you could talk about during the tell me about yourself is why are you here? Why do you want to apply to this program specifically? Programs like to hear that you have specific interest in what they offer, and that's why you're here. So you can include that in a short, brief sentence in the tell me about yourself to tell them that you're really interested in this program and there are reasons for that. And of course, other things that could be included under one of the 3 parts I talked about are why are you interested in the specialty, which could be under the characteristics you have. Why do you want to come to the US if you're an international medical graduate, which could be also under the second part or under your background. Your hobbies and interests could also be included in the tell me about yourself if you have time. Could be generally toward the end of your answer, but you can categorize it also under the accomplishment umbrella. So in summary, the things that you should talk about when asked introduce yourself or tell me about yourself are your background, your accomplishments and characteristics, and why are you here. Talk about that as if you're telling your life story, but be concise. You don't have so much time here. So this answer should be between 1 minute and 1.5 minutes. So don't go and talk for half an hour about yourself. So you can include all these things that you went through, your accomplishment, your background in bullet points, and then pick the ones that tell the most about you. These are the points that you would definitely want program directors to hear about, but also fit within the 1 minute to 1.5 minutes answer. If you need help from our expert advisors who trained at top-notch institutions in the US and interviewed a ton of applicants, go ahead and check our residency interview preparation packages, and I'll leave the link for that in the description below. All our interview preparation is 100% satisfaction guarantee. We trust the expertise of our advisors so much to the level that we will give you your money back if you're not happy after the first session. Our interview preparation sessions are 1-hour sessions divided as half an hour as a mock session, as if you're interviewing with a program director, and the other half as feedback about your performance during the mock. So go ahead, check them out, and if you have any questions, go ahead and schedule a free session with one of our customer support team to answer any questions you have about our services. Now I'm gonna give you a few tips that can help you introduce yourself in a positive way and leave a positive impression throughout your interview. The first one is be nice and have a smile on your face. That might be obvious to so many of you watching this video, but interviews are actually a little bit stressful. And while you intended to smile during the interview, the stress of the interview made you forget about that smile. So having that positive smile and positive attitude can leave a good impression on the person interviewing you. So that's why I recommend you record yourself during the preparation for your interviews and look at your facial expressions, look at your smile, your hand movement, your body language, because that can leave a huge impact on how people perceive what you say. Second, make sure to dress professionally, head to toe, both in virtual and in in-person interviews. Third, be nice to everyone. Many think that their interviews are only the time where they're interviewing faculty or attendings, and that's a big mistake. The interview is the whole day. Your interactions with the other applicants, your interaction with the residents, your interaction with the program coordinator, the staff. Make sure you have the best attitude, the best smile. Treat people nicely throughout your interview, during, before, and after. If you act unprofessionally or in a negative attitude to any of the staff during your interview, trust me, all the faculty will hear about that. Fourth, something that relates to virtual interviews, make sure you have a nice background. Make sure you have a background that can tell something about you. For example, me, I play piano, so that's why you can see a piano in the background of my video. People who paint, I've seen so many applicants on my interview trail that were painters or paint very professionally, and they had amazing paintings in their background. And trust me, every single interviewer asked them about that. Every single resident asked them about that. Did you paint these? And they say yes, and now it's a whole conversation about paintings. So you can use your background to tell people about you, your hobbies, and your skills. Have a good posture. If you're in a virtual interview, make sure you're not reclining like that.
But can he do this?
Make sure you're always leaning towards the interviewer, eye level for the camera. The same applies for in-person interviews. Have a good posture, shake hand, and don't sit until invited. And finally, a nice way to start the interview is to thank the interviewer for inviting them to their program. So something like, thank you very much for having me here. I'm very grateful for the opportunity to interview at your program. Now let me show you a sample answer to the commonly asked question, tell me about yourself. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Malka. I'm originally from Spain. I grew up in a small town near Madrid, which is known for its olive oil production. My family actually owns an olive oil business, and I helped them a lot in the farm when I was young. However, when I was in high school, I discovered that medicine is my calling, and I pursued medical school at the University of Madrid. I had keen interest in patient care since day one of my medical school, and I spent significant amount of hours shadowing physicians during the first 3 years of my medical school. But it was not until my clinical rotations in the 4th, 5th, and the 6th year of my medical school where I realized that internal medicine is my calling. I rotated in the different departments of internal medicine. I was functioning as an intern during the last 2 years of my medical school, and I loved every aspect of it. I loved the continuity of care, how I took care of patients from the first day they came to the hospital, followed them during their hospital stay, and discharged them. And then I had the chance to see them in clinic afterwards, and that was so gratifying to me. Also, the aspect of continuous learning. Sometimes I had patients with presentations that were familiar to me, and other times it was more complex and I had to read more up-to-date books so I can figure out what's going on. During the last year of my medical school, I wanted to expand my research knowledge, and I got a scholarship to do 1 year of research at Johns Hopkins. It was a phenomenal experience, not only because I learned a lot about research on how to develop a research idea, how to design a research study, IRB, the statistical analysis, the writing part, responding to reviewers, but also the teamwork, the ability to work with like-minded individuals who have the same goal of trying to make an impact and difference in patient lives. During my research time, I also had the chance to shadow the physicians I was working with, and there is where I realized I want to pursue residency in the US. The advanced healthcare system, the research opportunities, the interdisciplinary work between the different teams owed me and made me want to pursue residency here, train here, and hopefully transfer that skill and knowledge back to my home country, Spain. I'm really interested in your program because of the clinical volume you have, as mentioned on the website and the morning session, but also the research opportunities you provide to your residents and the support you provide to pursue a physician-scientist career. I'm very grateful for the opportunity to interview here, and thank you so much for having me. So as you can see, this is a sample answer in which I provide a background about the applicant, fun facts about their city and about their upbringing. Then we go into their medical school and the accomplishment they have, how they developed interest in a certain specialty, how they came to the US, why they wanted to come here, talking about research. And as you can see, every single thing I was saying was providing certain strength. The scholarship, I'm telling the interviewer that I got a scholarship. Research, I'm telling them I'm a team player when I mentioned the teamwork. I want to make a difference in the field when I mentioned I want to make a difference in patient lives. And I also highlighted the research skills I got throughout my research journey. I also talked briefly about my clinical skills when I mentioned I started shadowing early, I started functioning as an intern for the last 2 years, and I also observed my physicians in the US, which count as a US clinical experience. And finally, I ended with why I want to interview here and that I've researched this program and that this program aligns with what I'm looking for. And I end with a nice ending that I'm grateful for this interview and I'm looking forward to training here. And again, remember, this is a sample answer. That's why I call it sample, because it will differ based on what you've done throughout your life, your accomplishments, accomplishments, where you grew up, why did you want to come here, characteristics, skills, but always try to provide as a story and try to be concise. My answer might have been on the longer side, but because I want to show you different aspects that you can talk about, but you try to keep it to around 1.5 minutes. As I mentioned, if you need any help with your interview preparation, don't hesitate to reach out to us. We have a phenomenal list of advisors. Even 1 hour can make sure that you're on the right track and you're not messing up the most important opportunity, which is acing your residency interview. Remember, good performance on the interview can make the difference between you getting ranked and matched and you not matching. Please take it seriously and invest the time and effort to shine during your residency interview. Now I want to share with you 2 guides that I have for you for free to prepare for your residency interviews. The first one is a full interview guide that gives you advice on how to prepare for your residency interviews, over 200 residency interview questions and questions you can ask residency program directors. And the second guide is a sample of commonly asked residency interview questions and sample answers. If you find any value in this video, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this video with your colleagues who are also interviewing, because that will help support this channel and help me to continue doing videos for you to help you throughout your journey. Before you leave, make sure to watch the full residency interview tutorial I recorded recently to help you ace your interview. So you can either click here or the link in the description. Thank you everyone so much for watching, and good luck on your interview.